ongoing crisis of the fuel problem, there's been an ongoing and ending lines of fuel queues in Zimbabwe. This week, we'll look at the fuel and fuel-related products in Zimbabwe. This is the broadcast, and I'm your host, Wilbert Muzarewetu. In 2019, Zimbabwe spent about 1.5 billion USD in fuel and related products through importation. Now, this is 31% of the import bill, compared to South Africa, which is 17%, Zambia, which is 17%, and Namibia, which is 12%. Now, looking at these neighboring countries, we can allow ourselves to see what's the problem and where is the discrepancies. Now, this is a lot of fuel, considering that Zimbabwe does not have any heavy intensive industries such as South Africa has. Also, now fuel shortages in Zimbabwe and fuel queue lines is the order of the day in Zimbabwe. Why are we having so much fuel lines? If the demand was to be met, will we have an import bill which is much higher than this one? Well, the answer certainly is yes. So why are we having fuel shortages and we are having so much huge cost burden on the import bill and also not meeting the demands of fuel in Zimbabwe? Now, blending is a process of mixing petrol or diesel at varying percentages with ethanol. Now, since ethanol is locally produced, this should be able to alleviate the problems or the shortages of fuel by harnessing the local output of ethanol in Zimbabwe. In June 2019, the government of Zimbabwe increased the mandatory ethanol blending from the 10% where it was to the 20% that we are currently at. Now, for every 5 liters that you buy of fuel, there is 1 liter which is ethanol and the 4 liter which is petrol or diesel. Now, the problem with this is that whenever there is shortage of ethanol or whenever ethanol is not available, the 4 liters cannot be supplied to the supply chain. And the question you need to ask yourself every time when you go to a fuel queue is that, is it the petrol which is not there or the diesel, or is the ethanol which is not currently available? This is because of the 3 companies that are licensed to produce ethanol in Zimbabwe. Only Green Fuel is producing ethanol as its main product. Now, the virtual monopoly is causing bottlenecks and shortages in the supply chain. Our research also revealed that the cost per unit involved in producing blend is much more as compared to the one of unleaded. Now, it is possible for the government to start inviting other tenders and other companies in the production of ethanol in Zimbabwe. This has an impact of reducing or alleviation of price reduction and also availability of ethanol whenever it's needed. The other contributing factor to the fuel shortages in Zimbabwe was the price of the fuel. The USD and the RTGS exchange rate arbitrage, it became relatively cheaper for you to buy fuel than any other product in Zimbabwe. For you, it costed you $1 in the parallel market for you to get at least 3 to 4 liters of fuel. Of late, there's been a restructuring of the exchange rate. We've had to hear of the auction system. This has managed to alleviate the discrepancies between the official rate and the market, which is the parallel market rate in Zimbabwe. Now, recently, the consumeration of the fuel price has been average of other regional countries. This, however, is ineffective given to the inefficiency of the other problem that we've raised before of ethanol and the continued rise in demand of fuel in Zimbabwe. So what can we do to combat the fuel shortages in Zimbabwe? Number 1, there's need to use renewable energy such as the solar. Zimbabwe is an abundant solar alternative and it can just be successful as any other means of energy combating in Zimbabwe. We've got a lot of sun that we get in Zimbabwe and we can convert that to renewable energy. It is clean, it is cheaper, and it is renewable also. Number 2, there's need to shift to public transport which is efficient and effective. Now, the Zupco initiative is good, but the problem with the Zupco initiative is that it is not dependable, as they say. It is not effective as it is right now. But the idea, though, is good. So if we can apply urban routes to private sectors, this can go a long way in alleviating the problems associated with fuel demand and fuel shortages in Zimbabwe. Number 3, promote the use of electric cars through duty rebates and grants. Now, you've seen Via Africa an application which is using electric cars. This is a good initiative. It only needs to be dealt with effectively by allowing rebates and grants to certain users so that they can come in their abundance in Zimbabwe, and this can put a less strain on the sources of fuel which are at their disposal. Number 4, above all, the immediate solution will be to regularize the ethanol sector and to combat and break the chain in the monopoly and the holistic approach of ethanol provision in Zimbabwe. This has an impact in elevating and downsizing the price which is associated with fuel in Zimbabwe. Thank you for watching the Broadkast Show. Now, for your views and comments towards this topic that we're tackling this week, we'd like you to comment on our section and give us our opinions. And this was the Broadkast Show. And I'm your host, Wilbert